Hey, what is up, YouTube? Kolst here. I'm starting to lose my voice, but we have like half the classes left to go. We have Twitch chat here as well to talk about the next review, which is for Paladin. Let's jump into it. The first card here is Fancy Packaging. 1 mana spell, give a minion with Divine Shield +2/+3. So it's you have to have a minion with Divine Shield, and then you give it +2/+3. It's really good because I mean you want to buff Divine Shields anyway, if you can. Problem is, are you going to have a Divine Shield? If you don't have a Divine Shield, this card's completely useless. So I'm going to become a broken record of the amount of times I'm talking about it. It's like, unfortunately, we don't know what cards are going to be in Arena, so we don't know exactly how consistent this is going to be. But there are some Divine Shields that are really good, and I think some of them are commons, one of which we're going to talk about right now. I would guess that you probably have enough consistency that this is good, because I think it's like there's even a Rush Lifesteal Divine Shield guy coming up right here. So you probably have enough to make this good, but you know you have to be wary about picking a lot of these if you don't have the synergy yet. So because current Paladin's actually not that based around Divine Shields, but you know you'll probably be fine because you have cards like this. So I'll say this is like a it's probably like a 3 to a 4 maybe on our scale. Because this one we have is Tagris Plushie. 3 mana 3/2 Divine Shield. Rush Lifesteal Divine Shield Beast with Miniaturize. Which is unbelievable because it's like a Giga Power Crept Ziliax. I don't know why they needed to Power Creep Ziliax this hard, to be honest. It's like was this not good enough at 4? This thing at 5 is probably better than Ziliax. But anyway, maybe not. But yeah, because you get a mini as well, which means you get a 1/1 Rush Lifesteal Divine Shield, which is also good, which you can also buff with the Fancy Packaging. You can play this on 3, and then you just get this to buff later if you happen to have this card. You can use it on either form you want. I mean, this is just like blatantly overtuned, right? It's way too good. So cards that are just like don't do anything completely broken usually don't get 5s too, but like this card's just broken. It's just so good, right? Like, so much healing, so much rush, so much initiative. Has to be a 5. So next up we have Trinket Artist. 3 mana 2/3 Battle Cry. Draw a Divine Shield minion and an aura. So auras are those passive cards that Paladin has, which there's going to be more of, and there's going to be more synergy for, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it's really good to have consistency for the auras. The auras are good. Divine Shield minions are going to be really good, especially if it's like this thing, and auras are going to be cards you're going to want to have in general. So like 3 mana 2/3 draw 2 of probably the best cards in your deck. Seems really good. God, this might even be a 5. The thing is, I don't know, would you take this over like another premium card? It depends on your deck, I guess. It might not quite a 5, but I mean this is gonna be really good. Like you're gonna want this. But yeah, I mean it's really good. I don't know. If you called it a 4, I wouldn't argue too much. It's gonna be so like you're gonna want this so much. It's just you wouldn't want to take like 3 of them, right? Because you'd run out of things. But I'll just say it's like a 4 or 4.5, something like that. Next up, Cardboard Golem. 4 mana 4/4 Battle Cry. Increase the duration of auras in your hand, deck, and battlefield by 1. Why does it hit everything? We haven't talked about the auras yet. You'll panic when you realize what some of the auras are. Let's just show you the auras before we even talk about that one though. Flash Sale. 4 mana. Epic spell. Summon a 1/2 mech with Divine Shield and Taunt. Give your minions +1/+2. So this will get buffed too, right? So by default, it's a 4 mana 2/4 Annoyatron, which is literally like that card that literally was a 4-drop before. Although that had magnetic, but like that used to be a 4-drop by itself. But then it also buffs your entire board by a lot. So it's just broken. Because it's like a 4-drop. Not really a 4-drop anymore. I mean, a 2/4 Divine Shield is still, taunt is still, it's still kind of like a 4-drop. But then it just also buffs your entire board. So it's just overtuned like hell. Why? So your Paladin, so obviously you can at least somewhat consistently make this be good. The taunt keeps you alive if you're doing stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just really good. Do you give this a 5 though? Probably not. One thing is like in Paladin, it's like 5 is supposed to be like an auto pick card, and it's like, man, there's so many good cards in Paladin. You probably don't auto pick this, right? Like there's other things that are just even more broken, but it's at least a 4. It's probably a 4.5. I don't know. Is Herald of Nature 5? Is that the Druid one? I don't know. It was hard to trigger that card at the time. It probably wouldn't have been, but Herald of Nature is probably like a 4. I don't know. Except Painters of Virtue. I'm rating differently. I usually didn't formally rate before, but this is the first time I'm actually using a formal rating scale, so I don't exactly know what I did rate stuff like that, but except Painter's Virtue. 4 mana, 2/3 lifesteal. After hero attacks, give minions in your hand +1/+1. So, I mean, hand buffs are really good with things that happen to have Divine Shield, Rush, and lifesteal, for example. So, something to keep in mind. But yeah, it's a 2/3 weapon with lifesteal is like fine, because it's like, I mean, you can just send them all face if you want, and then it's just 12 health of swing. And then it also AoE buffs your entire... Wait, I thought this only buffed one minion. Do they just have a different balance team do Paladin? Like, what the... Like, how does this even... Like, they just get better cards than every other class. Buffs all minions in your hand? Oh my god. I mean, this is just completely broken, right? Completely insane. So, 5-star, obviously. Next. Are they going to have a card below 4? I don't know about that. Except Toy Captain Terum. 5 mana, 3/7. With miniaturize, taunt, and battle cry. Set a minion's attack and health to this minion's. Why is this buff 3 times? I don't know. So this is a weird one, because like, so if you're really desperate, you could use Terum on an enemy minion immediately, but if you're really desperate, you might have to. But the idea of this would be you use the first one as a buff to your own board. You buff a dude or something, and then the second one you get the miniaturized version, which then is just a subdue, right? Plus a 1/1, which is ridiculous. So I mean, in the case you are really desperate, you could use this. You could use... There are certain situations where, like, on turn 6, like, you might have to use both forms on the same minion. If you didn't have another minion, like, you could always use first Terum on the big thing and then second Terum also on the big thing, just to, you know, neutralize it that way. That would be, like, the worst case scenario for this card, right? But I mean, it's also just completely broken, right? Because you're getting... These both have taunts. You're getting 4/8 of taunt for 6 mana, and you're also neutralizing one minion and also potentially buffing it. If only you could do it in the opposite order. If you could play this one first and then Terum your own guy, it would be really good. Oh yeah, Brewmaster is going to be crazy. If it was a normal card, this would be a 5. As a legendary, it's like, maybe as a legendary, it's not quite a 5. I don't know. It might still be a 5. Maybe it's like, as a legendary, maybe it's more like a 4. But it's also broken. Every card in Paladin is broken, apparently. We'll just move on. Next up, Wind Up Enforcer. This might be the worst card they have, actually. 6 mana, which is still not bad. 6 mana, 3/5 with tradable. Battle Cry, summon 1 copy of this minion. Trade to upgrade. So, I mean, you don't necessarily want to trade this because, yeah, this has its copies. So if you hand buff this 3 times, it's already, which by the way curves into perfectly. Swing, play this on 4, swing. On 5 you swing, on 6 you swing, and then you just play 2 copies of 5/8, right? 6 mana for 2 5/8s. It doesn't have taunt or anything, right? So that's one problem with it, but it's just so many stats that you're probably fine, right? And if you happen to trade it early and then draw it in time, you can get 3 5/8s already. And that's if you don't have any other synergy, which you also could have more hand buffs potentially. The only thing is that, yeah, I mean, in its base form, I mean, it's still 2 3/5s, like 6/8 total stats for 6 mana. That beats vanilla technically, but it's like you wouldn't consider that good nowadays. It's nice stats that aren't really vulnerable to AoE still, but it's like you wouldn't think it's amazing. Having 2 bodies, it's nice. Oh, it's 6/10 in stats, yeah. I mean, it's pretty good. It's already pretty good, you know, even in its base form. I mean, it's way better than an ogre. You would pick 2 3/5s over an ogre pretty much anytime. It's not always as good against all boards, but I don't know. You just also would just pretty much always pick this. Like, I don't even know. Like, all of these cards are basically auto picks, right? So it's like, I mean, it's like, this is it's slightly more situational, but it's like, it also combos with all the other cards. It's like, you're going to have so many weird situations in Paladin where it's like, you want all of them, right? And you're just like, I can only pick one, what the heck? You know? Because, I mean, it's like, I don't know, this is like, probably say this is a 4, because like, you probably have to, like, you wouldn't pick this over this if you didn't already have this, right? It's just, it's a little weird. Like, you probably prioritize stuff like this. So it's like, I guess this goes to like a 4. Almost, it's like the Paladin tax. It's like, it'd probably be a card that has this with the synergies would be a 5 in any other class, but it's just, you have to pick the other broken cards first, right? So I don't know. I mean, it's still really good. Now this is where we're really cooking now, though, because this is the aura. Crafter's aura, 7 mana holy spell. It's an aura. So at the end of your turn, summon a random 6-cost minion. Lasts 3 turns. Unfortunately, I only get like 6 mana 3/3s, so it's actually not that good for me. But I mean, it's 7 mana for somewhat delayed, but it's still 18 mana worth of stats, right? In theory. You get way too much. And you have all this other Paladin stuff that should hopefully keep you alive, right? So you should survive in theory, right? But it seems worse than Pack the House. I mean, yeah, you'd probably rather a Pack, but I mean, I don't know, like Pack the House is more vulnerable to AoE, but it's probably generally better to have it all instantly, but you are still just getting like way too much stats. And as Paladins try to build themselves around just surviving, right? So the one problem is that if you're already dying, this is gonna be too slow and it's not gonna save you, right? Where sometimes a Pack the House would spam taunts and rushes and save you. You can't use a rush with this because it's the end of your turn, right? There are problems. It's a little slow, but if you play this and don't die, you're gonna be like ridiculous spot. That's true, yeah. If you have Holy Cowboy, for example, you can discount holy spells too. Yeah, it's Pack the House, the Staring Metal value. That's the thing, yeah. It's like, it's probably worse than Pack the House, but Pack the House is also like one of the best cards ever made. So it's like, it could be worse than Pack the House and still be a 5, right? And it probably is. That's probably about where it is, right? It might be a 4.5 just because it's technically greedy, but I mean, you're going to be like, this is going to be the thing that you're looking for still. So it's like, I don't know. You're going to want it. And then before we talk about this, since we saw that aura, let's talk about the cardboard golem again because we kind of skipped it. So yeah, like that's the big one you can also extend if you're in a value game. So you can get 24 mana worth of stats. So this also, you know, like Crusader's aura, the Lifesteal aura, whatever that one's called, you know, those are the other auras. The only problem with this one is like they're all really good things that you would extend and get insane value out of, right? The only problem is I guess you might just not have auras. There aren't that many auras, so you're not guaranteed to have them, right? That's the one problem with this card. But you're gonna get really good value of this card if you have like basically any aura and you're able to utilize it at all. One extra turn of an aura is so valuable. And the one thing is, you probably just wouldn't really want to play. If you had it on 4 and you had nothing else to do, you would play this. But like, you'd actually probably rather wait until the aura is already active and then do this rather than actually lose tempo early. You'd rather just try to tempo as hard as possible and then use this while the aura is already active, probably, I would think, actually, rather than even do it preemptively. But I think it's good, right? You probably only rate it like a 3 to a 4 just because you have to have the aura, right? If you don't have the aura, it's, well, if you don't have the aura, it's a 1, right? But assuming you have just any aura at all that you actually draw, it's really good. So the last card we have here is Pipsy Painthoof. 7 mana 4/4 Death Rattle, summon a random Divine Shield, Rush, and Taunt Meaning from your deck. So it's only a 7 mana 4/4, so it's pretty. This is something you just want to have die, and then it's pretty easy to have die because it's only a 4/4, right? Divine Shield, Rush, and Taunt Minion. If you trade off yourself, you get to use the Rush, the Taunt, and Divine Shield. You might have a Divine Shield that also has Rush, for example. It's just really good, right? It's just a lot of value. It's really vulnerable to Silence or also Hex, I guess, stuff like that, but it's a lot of crazy amount of value, so it seems good. The big risk, I guess, would be that you just might not have the actual synergy. Like, you're playing it on turn 7, and then you just might not have all of those things in your deck still. That would be like the one fear. And like, if you don't have a Taunt, for example, it's good if you still get a Divine Shield and a Rush, but it just might not be that good, right? So this is that's the other thing, is that it's in the legendary slot competing with like Terum, for example. So it's like, you probably just prefer a Terum, right? Like, it's still fine though. I mean, this is probably because it's in Paladin, you're so spoiled. That's not as much in the legendary spot necessarily, but you do have just like better options probably a lot of the time. It's probably somewhere between like a 3 and a 4, I would think, because of that. It might be on the lower end because it's like you're just not always going to have the activators even in your deck. They have to be still in your deck, right? You've already drawn half your deck by that point, so it's just like it might not work really that well. So I think it's a little too risky probably. Yeah, I'll just say it's a 3. Now let me know what you guys think in the comment section and YouTube as well. Appreciate you guys all hanging out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck avoiding all the paladins next meta.